I don't even know. Like, is my mic even working?
It's
Does
not.
anyone even care?
Yeah.
Wait for you 1 second.
No, just
Got it.
So now we're in trouble, whatever we say.
that's
Well,
it. Yeah.
You are on record.
All right. Well, welcome to the 8th day sojourner.
New age. It's a new age sojourner.
The resurrected from the dead. New
3
creation.
age sojourner.
We're actually just in the 1 age now, but it's the next one. You know, we've ditched the previous age. It's been so long.
We're into the age of realized eschatology.
So, oh my goodness. Wow, how long has it been? I don't even know. It's been a long time. Apologies. I know that we said we'd do something sooner. I could give you the tale of war if you wanted.
Look, 1 day in 1,000 years is the same to the Lord. So
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
And
And
it's just giving everyone an opportunity to go back and re-listen to some old episodes and
Yes,
catch up on
exactly.
the missed ones. And
that's right.
that's really
right.
was the thinking behind our big,
Genius move
break.
to procrastinate. What happened was we one of the things we did was Andrea and I went to South Africa and met up there, which was cool. We had great plans. We were going to record episodes there, and we are going to bring Nick in, and we are going to do this whole thing. We didn't do any of that. Not even one.
No,
not even one thing. Even though we had 2 weeks extended leave in South Africa because I got COVID while I was there.
we both got COVID.
of course you
So it was like, we had a lot of opportunity, didn't we, Andrew?
We had a lot of opportunities.
Like a lot.
Wasted
opportunity. So instead what we did was we just, I don't know what we did. Nothing. We met John Menson. That was one of the things that happened. And that's the guy, as you see. I think most people, let me make sure I'm recording this properly. Gallery, yeah. You can see that little block there.
Yeah, I like him already. He's got this winning look. Just something about him.
Something about that. Something about the hair.
Yeah, something about the hair. Something about the grooming. Yeah, something's working right there.
All right. So John, we met him. It was just like instant connection. This guy has listened to 2H Sojourner for a while, and just got hold of us, and we've just been texting over the years, or however long we've been going, and just in South Africa finally, and we know all kind of the same people, and we just finally decided, hey, let's. And so John drove like 4 hours. Was it 4 hours? 4 hours.
4 hours.
4 hours just to like have lunch with us. So at that point we declared
we spoke for 4 hours, and then I drove 4 hours home.
Exactly.
He's our only fan,
dude.
But what a fan! I mean, if you're only going to have one,
if you're only going to have one, and it's not your mother,
you want the guy to drive 8 hours to come and see you.
But in reality, John is not our fan. He is our friend, because at the end of the day, man, after that lunch, we declared our undying love to one another. Right. And we gave him a sojourner ring. Show the ring.
Oh yeah,
we did it.
Yeah.
Even I don't have a ring.
Okay, so even Nick Levy doesn't have a ring. Okay, I got a ring. Andre, show the ring. Andre, yeah, there we go. But Nick doesn't have a ring. We've got a ring for him, but he hasn't got it yet. Let's show some of the other cool paraphernalia. What were you guys drinking out of there? What? Everyone had all these cool coffee mug things. Very nice.
They're like those nice tin ones. That's the one that Josiah used to drink out of.
Alvin and Spurgeon,
yeah. Okay, nice. Oh yes. Okay.
Oh yes, there we go.
And then one of the things that John did do was he. If you're wondering, yes, I know many people will be wondering why my beard's looking so amazing if they're watching.
How does he
groom it so well? Well, today what I'm wearing is a little bit of Spurgeon beard balm, or what do you call it? A little beard balm, right?
Beard balm.
And oops, sorry. And then I believe I'm lacing that with a little bit of Augustine today. You got some tears going, Kelvin, some Augustine, and then just finishing the job with this handy dandy beardified beard comb, which is really very good. I must say. It's like one of the best ones I've ever tried. So, John,
and if you want to get some of your own beatified stuff,
you go to, where do you go, John?
Beatified.co.za.
And you have to order from South Africa and pay the postage.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, our South African fan base can order from that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
well,
sorry.
I mean,
yeah.
I would say
huge South African fan base.
Yeah, Mark, Dad, you listening?
So yeah, I mean, these are really cool products. Though it is such a bummer they have to, we can't make a way to kind of get them. We need some global distribution system,
But for you guys, I'll make it work. We'll have to send some to New Zealand for Nick as well.
Yes, I need it.
We got to get it done. Look at his beard, man. It's a wreck. It's an absolute wreck.
My hair, it's always getting in my eyes.
So
I've got the head shiner as well.
Do you? Oh, I got to get me one of those. Awesome. So, but beyond that, we were just chatting, and it's just great to meet another like-minded brother. And I don't know, that John really reminded me a lot of Nick. Actually, I don't know what it is. Maybe it'll come through. Maybe it'll come through as we go.
It's the calm. It's the inner strength. It's the godly character.
Slightly abrasive edge.
Oh, that's what it was.
The stare of a leopard seal.
So, one of the things we want to do is just get him on, just because we were chatting. So it was such a cool time hanging out. But also we wanted to kind of, as I think we did mention, we were going to look at Cicero on friendship or something along those lines. And we were just going to work around that concept for a little while. So, hey, what better to have us talk about that with some more friends on the show. And so thanks, John, for joining us. Really appreciate that. We know also, I just remember your daughter, I forgot her name, who's also listened to a whole bunch of these.
Emily, yes.
Emily, let's do a quick shout out for Emily. She's not around, is she?
She's busy with schoolwork at the moment.
Okay. Well, if she wants to pop in and say hi, that's totally cool.
No.
But she's also an artist, and she drew your podcast setup. So I got to send you the picture.
Oh, dude, amazing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like animated characters of Mark.
Really? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So if she wants to pop in, that's cool.
I'm very intrigued by that. Got to see that.
If she wants to pop in, that's totally cool, because there's no school in the Eschaton, bro. We're in the 8th day here. We don't need no school. So she can hang out.
I don't know. It's debatable. There might be school.
But it'd be more like the thoroughgoing type under Aristotle, who is saved and not talking any nonsense anymore, and just sticking with what he should have said all along, and the nuggets of natural theology now are redeemed in their proper focus for all eternity as we go to. You kind of getting the picture?
Getting it.
I'm
sorry, was it meant to be subtle? No, it was.
Well, what I'm doing is I'm bridging into our new season, right? Because what we're doing here is we're saying one of the books that I think we mentioned as well that we want to look at is Jesus, the great philosopher, rediscovering the wisdom needed for for the good life. And let me see if I can just give a quick. Oh, there it is. Cool. On my iPad, that'll come through. And that's written by Jonathan T. Pennington, who I really like, and I love this book. So, and it's just a great way to sort of channel the discussion, because one of the things we said was, two-age sojourner. The idea is to look at the sacred side and the theology side, and in with no mocking in our voice at all, the eschatology side, the sense of all of that as it as we live in it even now in the overlap of the ages. But at the same time, there is common grace. There is all of the stuff that we are dealing with now. There's natural theology. There is all of those realities of goodness and truth and beauty that we want to also be talking about and thinking about and processing in light of a Kleinian rubric and a two-age sojourning sort of worldview. So there are many ways you could approach that. Obviously, I mean, when you think about common grace. You could be thinking about it through the rubric of state, through the rubric of just, those things that ameliorate difficulties in society. But I think for me, one of the things that really appeals is there's something I just, I don't want to say there is a kind of thing going on in ancient Greek philosophy that captures almost like the greatest thinking under the rubric of natural law and just what can be done with the mind and nature and so forth. And they didn't get everything right, of course, and there are all sorts of things that need to be filtered through scripture. But in terms of just starting a discussion point, ancient Greek philosophy tends to work very well. And so that book might be a great way for us to sort of launch a long series thinking about this in a more sustained way. But one of the things we wanted to look at as well, and you can kind of see some of these sets behind me, is some of the great books and the classics. And just, again, similarly, they encapsulate some of the great thinking done even without the rubric of special revelation. And it's really a joy to look at those things and compare them to what God has revealed and see, oh, amen. They're saying the same things. This is where they differ. This is how we can do it. This is how we can process life together.
And we're also bringing that pastoral edge, that pastoral perspective.
That's mostly Nick.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, you're bringing the doctor's perspective. That's right,
thank you.
Dr. Mike Beck.
It's more that I'm just not really thinking myself in too pastoral ways these days. I feel like the worst pastor ever. It's basically a good way to put it.
But, Mike,
come on. Just
you're the best pastor.
Thank you. That's why I love you guys. That's why you are my friends. So look, for this, we're going to shake it up a little bit. We might, it might evolve into a strictly Cicero thing, but it's been like, what did I read? Let's have a look at this. This was the one I was looking at. I was just doing the audiobook on Scribed, How to Be a Friend, an Ancient Guide to True Fellowship. And this is narrated by, I can't even read the guy's name because it won't give me the thing. But it's just like a nicely presented version of what I'm sure you could find elsewhere on the open domain. And just, what did you read? Where was your source there, Nick?
I got some like old Latin guy. So Cicero De Amicitia on Friendship and Scipio's Dream, translated with an introduction and notes by Andrew P. Peabody, 1887.
How about I be the pastor guy and you be the doctor guy? How about we do that? Andrew, what did you get stuck into?
Well, to be honest, I was looking at the same Cicero thing that Nick was, but the one that I really got into most of all was Aelred on spiritual friendship. That was the one.
Okay, yes, cool. Because we had a few things going on. So there was that, and then I know John had some thoughts about. Well, you've been reading C.S. Lewis on friendship or something. Was I imagining that?
Yeah, I went back to the Four Loves.
Cool.
Right.
But also read the same one as you, Mike. The one on script. Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. So haven't been too strict about it, but we thought that could launch us into a discussion about friendship, which is always we've been toitering around with, but it just deserves its own episode. In that vein, just kind of bridges into some of the other stuff. We'll talk about that along a similar line as we go forward. Friendship, again, it's like one of those interesting subjects. One of the first things that strikes me in the face as I read these guys or go back a little bit is just how much we take it for granted. That they're exalting this virtue, this reality, this, talking about like, well, what madman would what beastly person would prefer material possessions to a friend, and then they talk about friendship in such lofty terms. Sometimes you have to go, wait a minute, is he talking about his wife or is he talking about a friend, or what's happening, and it's just a real paradigm shatter, and it's quite riveting. I know we haven't really even touched base about it together, but for me, I found the whole thing absolutely riveting. And I know Nick had some more skeptical conclusions.
Yeah, I think I can't remove my Van Tillian lenses. So every time I come to anyone who's not a Christian, I'm looking for the errors. I'm looking for the faults. I'm looking. I have to remind myself to wear the Klein glasses, to look for the common grace, to look for all truth being God's truth.
Yeah.
So I did read it very critically, and every now and then I got super annoyed. Yeah.
Although I would say you've said something very controversial there. Just because
what,
the
Nick? Controversial? No,
I mean, beyond the issue of whether one can look at common grace, and it's just that whether Klein was Van Tillian or not is the big question. So to put our Kleinian glasses on might take us right back to Van Til if we're not careful. So let's say our Aquinas glasses or something like that.
Oh, now you're saying Van Til.
Whoa.
So anyways, you get the point. And we want to sort of just wrestle with these things, because no doubt both of those things need to be factored in. But to start that, and then bring in some Lewis, bring in whatever thoughts we had, even if no one's ever said it. And then the other thing I was thinking about, just to put a little special, because we're all in ministry here. That's something we should mention. And maybe, John, before I say anything more, give us a little lowdown of your life and your ministry, so that we have some context there. Everyone knows us ad nauseum at this point. So tell us about yourself, bro.
John Menton, born in South Africa in East London, spent about 20 years in East London, moved to Florida, the United States at 20. I got married at 21 to my wife, Naomi. We stayed in Florida, worked in IT for about 13 years, got involved in church planting towards the end around 2010, and then was part of Acts 29 church plant in Florida, Crosspoint, and some of the Crosspoint congregations. And then we moved back to South Africa in 2014 to start a nonprofit called Forever Mercy. And we provide a home for children who are vulnerable in need, whether they're orphans or children in vulnerable situations. And so we've been running that for about 8 years now. And we currently have 6 children, additional children living with us in our home, which makes the total now 8. And so we have a busy home.
You have a full quiver.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then as far as our church family is concerned, we're part of Cambridge Baptist Church in East London, and it's part of the Baptist Union, but our elders hold to the 1689.
Who's your minister, if I may ask?
It's Pastor Siyabulela Zalabe.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah. Excellent, man. Well, so, and with that background in place, we've all got this pastoral spin on things, as Nick was saying a little bit earlier. So one of the subjects that I think have to think about as well, because I just recently, if you guys saw that article that was going around, friendship in pastoral ministry. And I almost wanted to change gears entirely and just go, let's just run on that article. But it was quite provocative, because it was like, guys, I hate to break it to you, you can't really have friends in pastoral ministry, because because they're gonna betray you and leave you and everything, and it's just one of those. But and think what you want about the article itself, but I thought it is an important thing to sort of process in light of this discussion, which might add a unique dimension to it. So Nick, with that in mind, you kick us off, bro. Tell us a little bit of what you were skeptical about. Let's start with the bad.
Well, let's start with Cicero, bro. Come on, man. Let's set the context.
Okay.
So Cicero was, I've got my Britannica.com article open here.
Mm-hmm.
Born 106 BC, died 43 BC. So we've got a pre-Christ guy. Cicero was a Roman statesman, lawyer, scholar, and writer. And the article says, who vainly tried to uphold republican principles in the final civil war that destroyed the Roman Republic. So basically before the Caesars came in, so you had republicans versus Caesars. So the whole Julius Caesar thing, he would have been on the cusp of that. And so I think I found it very helpful just to read a little bit of his career and his life, just recognizing that he was a man who was trying to build a utopian idea on earth, just an earthly utopia, what's the best that wisdom can build us? We don't have religion. How can we build a perfect world? And so maybe I should state the positive and then the negative. I think as I read through him, I was impressed with, there was a mix of politics, philosophy, psychology, and just common sense. There was, multi disciplines coming through, and every now and then I'm going, yeah, that's good. That sounds like psychology. Yeah, that's good. That's good political principle. Yeah, that's good. That's just good old common sense.
Yeah.
And so I just appreciated, the breadth of the man. He was more, I guess, what we would call a Renaissance man, if you can forgive the anachronism.
Totally.
Multi-skilled, multidisciplined, and applying his intellect to all sorts of areas, and just seeing how all areas of life are integrated. But I think what bothered me as I read through him, and this is just my initial impressions, is that he's very much a political animal.
Right.
And so it's all about the pragmatism. So when you look at how does he define good versus evil, it's that which brings about the political good,
right?
is often driving his definition. And then I guess maybe I've been trained by feminism. Throughout the whole book on friendship, there was no mention of marriage. Where we would recognize that our wives are a primary pillar, primary friend, and obviously they're a friend in a different way. But there was just no recognition of what God has given man as his helpmeet, so that he's no longer lonely. So I thought that whole element was missing. And then of course there was his pragmatism coming through again. I saw a mix of, there's no real spirituality, so let's believe in annihilationism. But then, we can use the gods and religion for pragmatic and political purposes. And so you see this. So this is where my Van Tillianism kicked in. This mix of rationality versus irrationality, where he would have, drawing on both aspects to try and bring about a political good. So as I was listening to him on friendship, although I could, appreciate little axiomatic positive statements, as he was incorporating them into an overarching political mindset, I was bugged.
Okay. Yeah.
Because where our goal would be the glory of God, and a loving Christian community and marriage and the family and all these other things that God had put in place, he wasn't working within the same boxes. And I felt every now and then he was just going in a different direction.
Right. So one of the funniest things you were talking there reminded me just these quips that he would make every now and again, where he would say, well, and I'm speaking now of the common friend, not of the philosopher. If you caught that, you'd make this whole big thing. You'd be like, what? And you go, but I'm speaking now of the common friend, not of the wise man. You'd be like, well, what do you mean by that? But I agree. And I think one of the things that you have to do going into this might be a helpful little principle setting it up, especially, I mean, this is certainly reading ancient philosophy and a guy like Cicero, but I think even to watching movies or just engaging with anything that's secular, you almost have to go take it for granted that that's going to be present to some degree or another, that the goal is wrong, that there is a wrong motivation to it, or something's deeply wrong at the core of it. And if you don't do that, there's a real danger, because you will get taken along for a ride that really you shouldn't be going on, and you're not looking at it in a discerning way. So I think that is a good starting point in many ways. You're looking for good, true, and beautiful, but you're not ever, imbibing anything that's contrary to this great big goal and principle that the scripture set up for you. So, and I think I'd agree, and you could probably find that in way more. Andre, you have any thoughts?
No, I just I thought it might be helpful to go to Cicero's definition of friendship, but
yes, good.
Just on that though, just while you were saying that, it kind of got me thinking about the Ten Commandments and the way the Old Testament is always incorporating, so providing a true guide to what was prevalent in the ancient Near East. So you've got the Ten Commandments weren't unique to the Bible. Lots of the Proverbs weren't unique to the Bible. You've got, the kind of, in some sense, even the creation in that has similarities to other cultures. But what you have in Scripture is the truth outlined for us. So where the other cultures go wrong and what we should believe and shouldn't believe. And I guess as Christians, we're seeing that almost as a kind of model. I don't know if that's fair to say of how we take common grace from the culture, because we're seeing that there is good, true, and beautiful out there, but that it is going to need the lens of scripture to help us to clarify what is true and what we can hold to as right statements about God and about reality. So I guess we see that pattern of, we're not just doing our own thing because of our particular love for things, antiquated and classical, but in the scriptures themselves, you see this kind of approach of recognizing that all truth is God's truth, and using scripture and the apostolic testimony as a way of discerning that. So good. But anyway, Cicero's definition of friendship. I thought maybe if I just dropped that, we could analyze it from there. So
what page you on there, Andre?
So well, at the moment, I'm getting this from Elred. So I'm not on the Cicero stuff. Okay. But Elred says, is Cicero's definition not an adequate beginning? Friendship is agreement in things human and divine with goodwill and charity. Friendship is agreement in things human and divine with goodwill and charity. That's Cicero's, brief definition of friendship, or at least in Aelred, that's how he summarizes it. So, so I don't know. Well, I guess what we think, it raises a lot of questions off the bat, because automatically it's saying, well, it sort of implies that there can't really be friendship where there is disagreement.
Yes.
And I think that
does come through
big,
a lot. Yeah.
A big field to think through, because particularly in our world where it's just kind of right and left lobbing grenades at each other, and this increasing division, particularly in the States, I think, but to some extent all over the world. And we really live in a culture where I think it really is important to learn to agree to disagree in some ways. So how does Cicero's idea of friendship play into that? But the agreement in things human and divine. To what extent does that mean that even as Christians, to what extent does true friendship become friendship? I mean, can I be friends with a? Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, exactly. I was going to say Roman Catholic, but sure, that's that was. That's the kind of idea. So, to what extent, and I guess it's a kind of asymptote, where it kind of friendship increases where agreement increases. But I just thought those are two very important things to think through just off the bat from that definition.
Right.
John Menton's got some wisdom from C.S. Lewis for us on that.
You've just been that's
no pressure.
But that's the cleave. You've just been cleaved by the cleave stuff.
That's like a hospital pass.
And with that segue.
Well, how'd you go on Cicero, that book, before we jump into Lewis?
Yeah,
just a little warm up there, Nick. My goodness. Any ideas? Any thoughts there, John?
I think C.S. Lewis, his famous quote there around, you meet someone and you begin talking, and it's like you have that, I couldn't imagine someone else, thinking this way. Is there someone else out there that like me? And then he basically says like you too, So I think that's, he is saying that there's, you obviously have to have there's something about agreement. That brings us together.
It's interesting because you wouldn't even just thinking about that definition, it's almost more than you would even require of a marriage covenant. You know what I mean? Obviously there is, again, like to say exactly what you just said, the more agreement the better, but it's not necessary that you agree on every single thing to even to have a really solid marriage. So it's like he's got a really lofty sort of definition in place there. But I think maybe what I was thinking is that it's almost like you've got I mean, it is also true that you have kinds of friendships, so if you limit, his definition is not wrong. It's just that it's not all encompassing enough. But if you think of it, if you just add the words "kind of" friendship, then you've got something really powerful there, because that also does exist, as John was saying there. So you've got something that every now and again comes along that is really quite powerful and needs to be recognized at some level, and really treasured.
Yeah.
Well, I think Aelred does have different categories of friendship, but I think the kind of friendship that he sees Cicero as kind of advocating, which he would call spiritual friendship, is that friendship which has value in and of itself, as opposed to a friendship which has value because of what it does or gains for you. So, so he does look down on those kinds of almost pragmatic friendships, or friendships, whether they're
that's very stoical.
It's like almost a friendship where
self-disinterest.
It could be about a vice, where like everyone just enjoys getting smashed together, and that's the basis of their friendship. So so friends are good because they provide a social scene in which you can satisfy your sinful urges, but you've also got friendships which you come together for the purpose of worldly gain in some way, whether that's economic or social or something like that. And then he sees spiritual friendship as being something which has value in and of itself. It's like a connection of souls that is intrinsically valuable.
Yeah. My memory of C.S. Lewis's definition of friendship is that friendship is often built around a common interest. So you can have personality types that are completely different. So you can have a quiet guy and a loud guy. You can have someone who's outgoing and vibrant and someone who's retiring, but they're both passionate about, toy airplanes. And it's that common interest. And even if they have differing opinions about how things should be done, if they've got different opinions about how politics should be done, it's their common passion in politics which brings the friendship together. And in fact, it's the differences in their common interest that bring about the sparks and the conversations and the debates that are all done in a friendly manner and all that. But it's so there's that commonality, yet there's that difference in that commonality. Just talking about spiritual friendship, and it's, I guess, where I struggled with the definition is, how can we not be friends with every Christian? Right. If we have a common interest in the Lord, if we have the most important things in common, despite our differences, how can't we rejoice with those who rejoice, weep with those who weep? How can't we have some way of connecting with every other child of God?
Yeah. Sorry, John, go for it. You were going to say something.
No, I was just going to say that what Nick was saying, the quote, I just found it.
Oh, cool.
Lewis says, friendship arises out of mere companionship when two or more of the companions discover that they have in common some insight or interest or even taste which the others do not share, and which till that moment each believed to be his own unique treasure or burden. The typical expression of opening friendship would be something like, "What? You two? I thought I was the only one." It is when two such persons discover one another, when whether with immense difficulties and semi-articulate fumblings, or with what would seem to us amazing and elliptical speed, they share their vision. It is then that friendship is born, and instantly they stand together in an immense solitude.
Wow. Lewis said it so much better than any of you guys said it.
Next time, just read Lewis from the beginning.
Just read it from the start.
But hang on. So that's really interesting, though, because I think that does bring out an intersection of the ideas, because you've got, so C.S. Lewis must be thinking, at least in part, of Tolkien.
I think he's thinking about his own friendship circle. What were they called?
The Inklings.
The Inklings, that's right. That group of writers.
Exactly. And Tolkien was, like his closest in the Inklings, his closest friend. But here's the really interesting thing about that friendship, is that as they carried on, because Tolkien, famously led C.S. Lewis to the Christian faith and was instrumental in his conversion. But then as C.S. Lewis went on in the Christian faith, he became increasingly critical of Roman Catholicism. And that drove a real wedge between Tolkien and Lewis. So the longer their friendship went on, actually the harder it was for them to stay together, because there was this increasing divide of theological opinion. So there you have, I think it highlights the importance of agreement, or at least at a functional level, at an experiential level, because you've got someone like Lewis undoubtedly thinking something about Tolkien when he's saying, "What, you too?" Because they were total literary nerds together, you know. But at the same time, there was something that was driving them apart, and I wonder if that's the. I mean, that is the sense in that Cicero and that Elred are trying to uncover. It's that where that doesn't happen.
Yes.
You know, there's such a, so Pennington, you know, in the Jesus the Great Philosopher, he summarizes ancient Greek views of friendship by saying that basically they saw it as a kindred spirit, a kind of other half.
Right.
You know,
right.
You find a second self.
Yes.
Who's so much like you.
So
that you're basically looking at yourself in the mirror.
Yes.
Now, if that happens, you're not gonna drift apart, but it's quite rare, and I think that's just what. Yeah.
Isn't that a very masculine definition of friendship? Just to throw that out there, like, because I mean, here we are with our interests, but I mean, I'm just trying. This is where marriage comes into it for me. I mean, we have we brought together as husband and wife, and we have a partnership of, you know, where there's different roles, there's different responsibilities, there's a complementary relationship rather than two partners with the exact same sort of interest, where, you know, as we run the home, it's our differences that make our strengths, which make us a better partnership. And so in one sense, I'm finding in this definition of friendship, it's lacking the functional realities of marriage. And it's almost like two guys going off and being friends together because they both like PlayStation, or, you know, they're both like guitar, or they're both like politics, or they're both like Klein.
But that's what I'm saying. I think it's not that. I think it. I don't think it is that. So C.S. Lewis is talking about that kind of common interest, but I think the Greek guys were pushing beyond that. I think they were saying it's not just having a common interest. It's literally a kindred.
Well, I mean, my reading of Cicero was that, you know, if a man wants the good of the state, that's the only sort of man he could be friends with.
Well, because that's what he's associating as the highest good. So it's not just like a hobby or an interest. It's for Cicero, that is the highest ideal. And so for Aelred, that highest ideal is Christ. And so for him, true friendship can only happen rarely between two Christians who are both seeking Christ together.
Now, thinking about friendship and the way that plays in with marriage as well. I mean, an interesting text has always been, and I'll read it in the spirit of our literary classics. I'll read it from the King James Version, but it's in 2 Samuel.
Well, can someone else just have an NIV read? Understand what's going on.
I am distressed for thee, my brother Jonathan. Very pleasant hast thou been unto me. Thy love to me was wonderful, passing the love of woman. I mean, I've always wanted to say that to Nick. I've never quite plucked up the courage.
Only if you say it to me in front of your wife.
Then it's just like, what is going on there, you know? And I mean, we've had vibrant Bible studies on that one, but you know, there is, you know, even there, it's touching on something of the same truth.
Yeah.
In that it's not to the neglect of the reality of a marriage covenant, and to me, it feels almost like the same thing can be said for a marriage covenant, certainly at a certain level. But in the same way that you would say it's not, you know, the thing that defines a marriage covenant or makes it successful, there is some kind of friendship, you know, that is a treasure in this way, and it should be regarded. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't even have said passing the love of woman, but he said it, so I can say it.
Well, I mean, I would just say it's different. You know, I mean, I mean, maybe we're talking now about the nature of marriage, but you know, I hear about men who have these incredible, you know, they have these incredible mind-to-mind theological engagements with their wives. You know, where they're able to open up the deep things of Hebrew and Greek and systematic theology and, you know, God's aseity.
Not the nature of my marriage.
Blessedness of God. And I'm thinking, I'm so happily married, but the nature of my friendship with my wife does not consist in those things.
I'm not even sure I
have my guy friends who I do that with.
That's right. Yeah.
I do different things with my wife. Yeah.
Right, totally. Exactly. And there's just some things you want to keep in their right compartments, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I was going to say no, but I think that's it. So for a marriage to be successful, it doesn't have to be a friendship in this sense, does it?
No.
So obviously, we're going to talk about, you know, even the reference you made to Genesis Genesis 1 and 2 about the, yeah, exactly. I don't see. I don't think that what's chiefly. I think we read that and we think, oh, poor Adam was lonely and he needed a woman. But I think it's actually saying slightly more about the purpose of marriage, and that it's actually to fulfill the imaging task.
Come on, you can say it. The dominion mandate.
The dominion mandate. That's right. I think loneliness is actually secondary to what's happening there.
Yeah.
Not that I'm diminishing that is
definitely part of it, but not the whole thing.
Not diminishing.
I mean, they needed to have, they needed to make babies, so it was not you couldn't do that alone. You needed to help me to do the task.
All I'm saying is I don't think you have to be a kindred spirit in this exact same way in order to have a loving, faithful, satisfying marriage. Whereas, and I think there is a sense in which I wonder if perhaps even in Christian culture, we've looked to marriage to satisfy this desire for friendship.
Right. That's
that actually, I think, has caused a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And then people are thinking, oh, well, my marriage isn't like that. Maybe I need to look elsewhere, kind of thing.
Yes.
I wonder if that's part of the idolatry.
Whoa. Well, that's impressive for a guy trained by feminism.
Are you talking to him or to me?
It's a you.
I'm just surprised you're so binary, Nick. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, classic.
No, so I do think. But what's funny is I've basically been the last couple of weeks. I've just been phoning every pastor in my county, and it's just hey, do you want to go out for coffee? And the whole time I'm sitting there at coffee, I'm just looking at them, wondering, are you a kindred spirit? Can we be friends? It's at one particular.
Is your love better than the love of a woman?
Yeah, I just want to know that. Otherwise, this is a waste of time.
Otherwise, we're wasting time. Yeah, there's some other guy out there.
We need to look elsewhere. But once I even quoted Cicero, and I said, "Are you this guy?" To which they responded, "I think I might be," and then that's wonderful.
Classic. So
there's no stuff around.
Exactly. No, I mean, look, and that's kind of I think as you read through this particular treatise, that that's probably the thing to really major on, as it intersects with what David was saying about Jonathan, but that is what is exalting. And I definitely picked that up. I was going through it thinking, I mean, this guy is, as you said earlier, Andrea, I think that was from, well, I'm pretty sure I got that from Cicero, where he talks about, you find someone like that and you've lived two lives, not one. It's like it's something amazing happens in that friendship, and it's the way that he described it, it almost brought me to tears. It was quite powerful.
Haven't you found that with amongst pastors, well, at least pastors of a like mind, that's often true?
Because you got the highest goal in there.
There's a brotherhood of those who are in a ministry setting.
Yes.
There's a way of thinking, an experience of life. There's an interest, a goal. I guess that it would be similar to men.
Like mind is key in that.
But also men who've been in the army together.
Yes.
Or people who've suffered through a terrible catastrophe together, gone through trauma together. It's unifying experiences.
Yeah. So, I mean, I suppose what we're doing there is bridging from the sort of more cautionary elements to maybe, I mean, even if we did reduce it to these, pithy, anecdotal sort of, things that come up in the treatise, but nevertheless worth reading, in my opinion, just for those things, because they're memorable. They do really get you thinking and changing course in a number. I found myself thoroughly, I need to process this. I need to sit down and process this like I would process a proverb or something. But things like we show our character as friends when we're doing well, or when we're doing really poorly, and then the vice versa as well. When our friends are doing really well, or when they're doing really badly. So, that's when it starts coming through. That's when you start seeing these things, and then obviously there's a mirror for you right there. There's so much biblical truth there that you can contemplate, that you can think about. I did think so many times about what how he just almost verbatim at certain points was saying exactly what Jesus was saying about this life, and the way that we're so preoccupied with possessions and worldly elements that we overlook the substance of life. Life is not just eating and drinking. There's something more, and we behave like beasts, and he really majored on that in many different ways and brought out many different truths. But that was an important part of the treatise for me, and I think definitely worth reading for that.
Well, I mean, just if you take his understanding of friendship, which I think does line up with certain biblical principles, and you look at the situation we're in now with the 21st century. So if you look at things like the tribalism, the left and right parties, if you look at the cultural alliances. So right now there are hot topics that people are being very opinionated and outspoken on, and we're seeing strange bedfellows where maybe an atheist and even a right-wing conservative guy would get into bed together against the common enemy, and you're seeing a cultural alliance. And so there's a temporary friendship, but it's not a friendship it's not a partnership that's built on a real common worldview, a common interest. And so there are these cultural alliances that are very temporary, which I think will, as soon as the enemy changes, they're going to fracture. And the two will not be able to walk together anymore. And so you do need this common worldview, this common spirituality, which actually binds, gives a real foundation to the partnership.
I remember I think it was in an Acts 29 conference somewhere, and who's Father Ortland again? Not Eric, not Dane.
Gavin, Ray.
Thank you.
Ray.
He was just saying, doing the Ray Ortland thing. I don't know if you've ever seen him. He's all hot. The guy's just bleeding.
I think I've heard him once. Yeah.
And so he was just talking. He was sitting next to oh my goodness, I'm having some serious brain farts going on here. Yeah, who's the guy that you love, Nick, the charismatic guy that wrote the book on amillennialism?
Sam Storms.
Sam Storms.
Yeah,
so
Sam Storms,
they're about the same age and whatnot, and they're sitting there on stage and just good buddies, and you can see they've gone through a lot together, and they're talking about friendship. And Ray Ortland said, at the end, wouldn't it be great if you could just right in the beginning of your ministry or life, or, sitting out in whatever context, make a promise to yourself that you will value friendship, just at its rightful place, and that you will do everything you can not to lose another friend needlessly. And there's so many things you could do with a statement like that, but the way it resonated with me was just like, I never think like that. And I'm definitely the poorer for it. And there's just no doubt you would be a much richer man at the end of your life. You would have put your focus in the right place if you would do something like that. So I think that a similar sentiment comes through after reading a treatise like this.
I think we have to work harder at it as well. I mean, look at us. How many countries are represented here? Yeah, I mean, the nature of life in the world today is people just disperse.
Exactly.
We're not even living in the same town. I mean, and so to have to actually work at relationships and maintaining those relationships, and praise the Lord for social media and the means by which you can do that. But it's the modern world doesn't lend itself to keeping friendships and relationships strong. No,
and I think one of the things that we have to sort of say, and maybe this is a good bridge and closer, but I think that one of the things we did, I consciously remember talking about this before setting up this podcast as part of the rationale. I'm sure you were with me, Nick. I was asking Joe Thorne, and we were at some sort of thing, and we were, just thinking about whether we should even do this. And I remember thinking about this. One of the things that gripped me more than anything else was that, there are instances where we can all resonate. We've enjoyed, when you're in pastoral ministry, sometimes you're feeling super isolated, and there are just moments and seasons like that. And sometimes it's because you're in a really hard spot. Sometimes it's because you're in a really obscure location where there are no other people. And one of the things we've all enjoyed is just being able to sit in on conversations with friends, and that's not so far removed like it's some celebrity that you can never actually connect with. But even if it's not the people you talk to every day, you just really do develop a friendship with those people as you just sit in on those conversations. And it's one of the things that we've been powerfully ministered to in our various contexts by various individuals and podcasts and whatnot. So we thought, hey, it'd be great if we can contribute something like that and just be that. It's not a replacement necessarily, but it's just something that encourages that, and encourages individuals along the way with a similar dynamic. because even in ministry, you know, sometimes you go to a new church and it's like elders, but the elders aren't friends, you know, they're not even close, and it's actually quite hostile. And the poor guy, you know, who's in that setting is really just yearning for some of those more you know, like-minded, kindred spirit conversations, and maybe even it's a provocation to develop some of those friendships where they aren't where otherwise they wouldn't be developed. So this is one of the things I've always appreciated about Doctrine and Devotion, Joe and Jimmy, where really their big thing is to just show, hey, you know, guys, you can be friends. That's okay. You know, it's okay to actually just develop that and work at that a little bit. And I think that's something that even if that happens as a result of listening, and, you know, there's some sort of culture that develops, that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. So, and you know, I suppose it's really great having John on this, because, you know, just from our conversations, that's been something of your experience. I don't want to pin you with exactly that brush, but what would you say, John?
Yeah, definitely. You know, being involved in a church plant together, in the trenches together, in Florida, and then moving to South Africa.
Wow.
And you know,
East London.
You know, 10,000 you know, miles away from those friends. Yes, you know, could still speak on the phone and through video, but yeah, like listening to podcasts and kind of sitting in on those conversations, even though the people don't know that you are.
Yeah.
But yeah,
well, it's kind of like they do though, you know, because they do know that you're listening, because obviously this is the thing, you know, but it's like, yeah, I know what you mean, but there's something of a dynamic even there that's helpful. Yeah.
So it's like, especially with TH Sojourn in the beginning, when you're podcasting every day, you know,
dude, glory days.
I felt like I had like this conversation partner, you know, just like, I'm thinking through these things and you guys are thinking through the same things, and you know, it's I looked forward to it every day.
Yeah. Amen. Well, there we go. Andre, there's the mandate, bro. Hey.
now we podcast on every 8th day. That's the
every eighth day in the eschatological symbolic sense.
Exactly, in the symbolic sense.
No, I mean, it was, and so great too. What I loved about it though is that there's John. He's kind of listening in South Africa, doing his thing. You know, we kind of know, because, you know, we're texting and you know, via Instagram or wherever the first connecting point was. But then we just get to meet, and it's like this instant connection, you know, because we've kind of done the groundwork already, and we're all on the same page already, and it's just, I mean, there's something cool about that. So really appreciated having you on today, man. Really
good meeting you, bro.
Yes. And
good to meet you.
If guys, just those website addresses again for anyone who wants to follow you and just keep in touch with you and buy some of your beard products, just give us all that info again quick before we wrap up, because it's not going on the show notes.
The organization is forevermercy.org.
Okay.
So you can find out about what we're doing in South Africa there.
Awesome.
Actually, the church website, man, I'm not sure.
Is it,
CambridgeBaptist.co.za.
This is when you just trust in the Google webs. You just go Google, Cambridge Baptist, East London.
And
South Africa.
And
South Africa. You
have to do that.
Otherwise you'll get some
East London embarking somewhere.
Or East Ham or something. Okay. And then
can I ask Nick a question quickly?
Yeah, man.
Talking about friendship, do you know a gentleman by the name of Luan?
Yes,
Luan,
that's very familiar. Yeah, Luan and is it Suzanne? What's his wife's name?
Yes.
American girl as well.
Suzanne. Yeah. So we're good friends. And
fantastic. He's such a great guy.
He's talked a lot about you. Yeah, he's talked a lot about you, and I got him to start listening to watching TH Sojourner.
Man, he's such a great dude.
Awesome.
Oh, please pass on my greetings. Yeah, man. Wow, I haven't. That's like blast from the past right there, man. That's like 20 years ago.
No way. Cool. Cool. All right. Well, we'll wrap up at that point. Anyone got any thing to add other than that? But what I wanted to just say, as you think about it, is just today, I'll probably get this up as quickly as I can. But one of the reasons we have, in all seriousness, not podcast quite as frequently is because I've just wrapped up on first semester, my first semester sort of round there at Grace Theological College, which stoked about. Graded the papers, did the whole thing, and that's done now. So, and it's a mad rush into the second semester, which enrollments close today, the 12th of July. But I'll get this up today or tomorrow or something like that, and I'm pretty sure you'd be able to. There'd be an exception to that rule if you were desperate. The reason I'm punting this year now is because what the second semester is teaching basically Klein. It's Genesis and Pentateuch. And so obviously I'm going to draw heavily from Kingdom Prologue and go into a lot more detail than I went into in the first semester, just for the overview of biblical theology. So if you are interested, that would be cool as well. Going from this forum and you want something a little more systematic in the way that we kind of move through the material, well, that would be it effectively. And
can you do that virtually? Can you do that online?
You can. They run the whole thing. The lectures online. It sticks to a schedule and whatnot, but you can join in via Zoom. And you can audit. You don't have to take it for credit. So the auditing costs like 150 New Zealand. That might not be exactly the right price, but something along that. And so yeah, get hold of me. Touch base with Grace Theological College directly.
Prof Mike.
Yeah, so it's exciting stuff. And this is the one I've been waiting for. This is the, I'm just gonna blah, blah, you're gonna get it all. So join us.
Heaven help those poor first year seminarians.
I know, exactly. We'll make it fun. We'll make it fun. Don't scare them away. Don't scare them away. But yeah, it'd be great. It'd be a personal kick for me if I might even give you some extra points if you're taking it for credit. You know what I mean? If you just tagline 28 Sojourn.
Just use the hashtag 28 Sojourn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
just write at the top of your exam paper and you'll be fine.
Totally. Alrighty. With that in mind, thanks guys. It's been great.
Awesome. Cheers. Old friend sat on the park bench like bookends.
Keep going, Nick. Keep going.